Hello, my name is Travis Brayton.
And my name is Jessica Perez.
And welcome to the Beat of the Drum. For our first story, we have Jay and Jonathan with their take on the new NABA High track coach.
I think that he's doing fairly well. I feel like, because if you go over to the sprinting, he's always there, like working with the sprinters, but then he'll come over to like the jumpers and just kind of talk with us, and then he might go over to like the throwers, but he's just kind of all over the place, which I think is pretty great, and not just focusing just on the sprinters.
Well, with him transitioning from being a sprinting coach, I think him overlooking everything, he'll have a lot more responsibilities. And I think he's going to be really prepared for it. I mean, they were kind of grooming him for this position already, so I'm not too worried. I think with the loss of Gaster and Hatton, that two are really good coaches, that he might need a little more help, but I think he's doing a great job overall right now.
I needed to step aside, take care of personal issues with my family, and felt comfortable doing that, knowing that Coach Jones was there waiting. Kind of the idea all along when Coach Jones was hired was that eventually he would become the head coach.
Entire setup of track, the how it's being coached, the coaches, everything really. They try to involve you. They try to really get you to be not just a better athlete, but a better person in general.
He's a great person, and I seen him last year coach just the short sprinters. He did a great job. Everyone respects him, so I feel like we have faith in him. He can do it.
When I think of Coach Jones, I just kind of think of passion. Like, he's very passionate about what he coaches. When he does, he's very strict. He gives you set instructions, and if you don't do them, he might be a little mad, but he'll help you correct and do it right the next time.
The one reason one of the major reasons it'd be different is Hatton brought me into the track season and brought me out. He recruited me basically. So it's going to show a different culture there a lot, because Coach Jones really wants us to make a team. With Hatton, we didn't have that as much. He was kind of a little bit more lenient on that part. So Coach Jones really wants us to be a team effort and everybody to be united and not just separate.
Wow, it sure is cool. We got a new head coach.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. Now for our next story on school funding with Cole, James, Owen, and Wesley.
Hi, I'm Cole.
I'm Owen.
I'm Wesley.
And I'm James, introducing our story on teachers funding.
So schools are funded. The state of California funds schools and the federal government funds schools. And money follows children. And the state decides how much each year they're going to allocate towards schools. And so when the state changes their funding, how much they're going to allocate, and or districts lose enrollment, the budget changes.
In chemistry class, we're really special because we use a lot of consumables, which means we use a lot of things that go away at the end of the year, chemicals, supplies, and so we have to renew every year. We have to buy a lot of chemicals every year, and so our budget apparently next year is a lot less than it normally is, so I'm not really sure how we're going to budget and pay for the chemicals that we use during chemistry class.
We get very little funding in the history department. What we do with that money is we share it as a group and decide what things we might need, like dry erase markers, erasers, staplers, and things like that. But we don't get very much, so it's probably distributes to about $30 per person, I would say, per classroom, if that.
I don't really get a lot of funding. I'm able to use money that we make for the yearbook to buy supplies that we need for our yearbook classes, but I maybe get like $100 the beginning of the year.
My funding right now, what we have is we have a department pool that there's supplies that are bought for the entire English department, and that for the most part everything goes into a supply closet. I speak with Mr. Patterson, and if I need, say, markers, rulers, staplers, etc., and he supplies it from the supply closet. So I haven't run into an issue with needing any supplies. I'm pretty well stocked.
For the math department at Napa High, there hardly is any funding at all. And I've heard rumors that it's going to get even less. Like right now we use it for bare minimum, like Expo pens, paper supplied by the school, but we use it for like chart paper, graph paper, like literally bare minimum.
The funding for the manufacturing programs goes for a lot of things. It goes for new equipment, it goes for field trips, it goes for material, it goes for helping students get prepared for college and career. The class is based on manufacturing and machining. So we have traditional lathes, traditional mills, and we have some computer controlled equipment, which is really the state of our art equipment.
So some of those teachers are funded through the county and the district, and some of those come out of RFTE. So teachers are funded just like any other teacher. As far as equipment, there are state funding sources for career tech ed, and so that comes out of a different funding specific to support the growth and development of career technical education.
I would love to get new tables and new furniture. My tables are falling apart if you take a look at them. The chairs break. The computers need to be updated, not just the system, but like the Photoshop program that we use and the technology. It works for what we need it to right now, but it would be really nice to get faster computers.
If it's sort of a negligent, if they're kind of goofing around, I do have them pay for it, and I have a little stash of cash that I then pay for new glassware. But we used to have a budget for glassware, but we no longer. So that has to come out of the regular budget.
So teachers are funded through the district, and then the science department gets a budget every year for supplies, just like every other department. And then within our site budget, we allocate funds for labs and things like that.
It's awful. It's kind of tragic. Teachers work their tails off every single day, and they sacrifice a lot for the classrooms and for school. And then to get a notice at the end of the year that you're not going to be back is completely disheartening, especially for all the education that a teacher has to go through to get a job like this. So I feel for them. I've talked to a few of them already and told them that I hope that no cuts happen, but if they do, that I'd be happy to help them out in any way with a letter of recommendation or anything that I can do.
We're running low on, there's certain chemicals that are pretty expensive. Copper is one of them. I would buy a little bit more of that. Electronic balances, for sure. They're quite pricey, but they would last for years to come.
Definitely technology. Napa High School and public schools in California are way behind when you look at the real world and how they're using technology. Whether you walk into a business office and they're having a meeting using like Google Hangouts or Skype or whatever, talking to other people. If I could, I would have enough devices, whether it's Chromebooks or iPads. There is a ton of fun, grade level, engaging apps, websites, curriculum out there that I would be using on a daily basis if I had more devices in here. But it's unfortunate.
I think we need a few more supplies to complete projects like poster boards, maybe a few more classroom devices for kids so that they have the ability to use the internet like we do in the classroom. So I would definitely look into more technology. I'd love a Promethean board so I can write on it, but that's obviously only for the science classrooms apparently.
We adopted a textbook a couple years ago, CME, that wasn't very user-friendly. We don't. Most of the department doesn't use it. I use an open source curriculum that's like on computers. It was developed in like the state of Utah. It's called MVP, Mathematic Vision Project, and we love that. And so we kind of hunt and pick and use what we want to use.
So we allocate some money to help journalism, broadcast journalism. A lot of what they do is through their ads, just like Yearbook. Those ads that they get help promote or help fund the work that they want to do.
To the drum, this is Cole Brown, Owen Baker, James Margolis, and Wesley Gunnafinger.
Now that you've seen the opinions from teachers, you will know what to expect.
Yeah, that was pretty scary to see. Next, we have our story on Napa High's football history with Travis, Dylan, Tyler, and Emmanuel.
Yeah, so a couple opportunities that were brought in my life from the football program here at Napa High is it really immersed me into some friendships I wouldn't have had if I didn't play football, because there's a lot of people on the team that the only reason that we came to know each other was because of the football program. So that really helped give friendships that I've formed that are going to last a lifetime. It's also taught me just to grind. Through anything in life, not just sports related, but anything. If you're going through some tough times, just to grind through, and it's going to get better. And that hard work pays off, basically. I was the last 4 years of playing for Napa High football. I've definitely seen the hard work that I put in. You get out in sports and in life.
The opportunities were getting to meet new kids for one. I played quarterback, and so a leadership role was kind of instilled in me early on. And basically, the opportunities afforded new friends, meeting new people, going out of town and playing games, and that was the opportunities.
Well, I figure my main opportunities at the time is it gave me job opportunities. You see, in those days, the men went off to war, or down on Mare Island or something, to make much bigger money than they were making working in the city of Napa. And consequently, when they did that, it opened it up so young fellows like myself could do something after school. So I got a job after school, and it was driving a laundry truck.
Yeah, so it's taught me to really embrace the process, not just in sports, but in anything you do. If it's worth your time and effort, you're going to find a way to put in the effort and work you need. And football really helped teach me that quality, because every day was a grind, and it was just such a payoff to win on Friday nights, almost every night. So yeah, it really just taught me to really embrace the grind and to really just fight through it. And in the end, it's going to be worth it no matter what, as long as you care for it enough.
I was able and have been able to count on people in my life and know who to count on. Football provided that impetus to move on, stay in a leadership role. I was entrusted with being a quarterback. And so that leadership moved on with me in my life, and to the point now where I'm able to give back some things to the school that I went to in high school. So football changed my life incredibly, playing in front of pretty good sized crowds, not like they play in, we played in the old stadium, but football has been very instrumental and has been and will be a big part of my life as I move on.
Well, I think basically you learn teamwork. And teamwork and getting along with people is important the rest of your life. But that's the first experience of I'd never played in organized ball or anything before that, because we didn't have it in those days. There was no peanut leagues and such. So you just went to Napa High and went out for football. And I played 1 year of freshman football. It was called the B team then, and then I played 3 years of varsity.
So the first and most important thing I have to say is to be on time. It really taught me that if you're on time, you're late, and if you're early, you're on time, basically. Anything in life, you want to be the first one in, first one out. And then another skill it taught me was to hold each other accountable, just in anything you're doing, because if you're too scared to tell your teammate or like someone in the workplace like that they're messing up and they need to fix it, it's not going to get done. So it really taught me to be able to use my voice with my other teammates to like make sure we got done what we need to get done.
Skills acquired through the athletic and football program here at Napa High. Like I said earlier, leadership, being able to, very important to me to look people in the eye when you're speaking with them. Everyday life, counting on people, knowing the right people that have your back and them knowing that you have their back.
You have to know how to cooperate with people, and when you don't agree, you have to learn the way to disagree, because that's an art in itself. You can't just argue. If you argue, you create a negative vision. If you just cooperate and give your view, you can get part of your point across.
So my favorite memory, I would have to say, was probably my junior year. We were playing Vacaville at Vacaville, and it was basically the deciding game for who won MELs. And we were leading like almost the whole first half of the game, and then the fourth quarter came around and they were up, I think, by like a touchdown or two, and we went on defense, we stopped them, we scored, and then we stopped them again, went on offense again, scored, and we came back with like a minute left and ended up beating them and basically like sealing the deal to win MEL, which was a crazy game. Like it just felt so good to win at their stadium and just win MELs again. So that's what I have to say was best memory.
Probably my favorite memory growing up here, like I like to say, I grew up here at Napa High. We came in as sophomores. There were just 3 grades at the time, and like I said before, Vintage wasn't around, so there was a lot of kids. And getting to know them, some of the favorite memories, for one, I remember going over to Armio, and one of the kids on our team broke another player's leg. A clean tackle, just snapped his leg, and so when I went back in to play quarterback, when we took over on offense, I got yelled at from probably the middle linebacker on their team, like, we're coming to break your leg. So let me just say, it started a bit of a brawl right there in the field. So Napa kids, keep your helmets on. If anybody ever swings at you, it's a good example of that. So that was fun. Nobody got hurt. Words were exchanged, and words will be exchanged. It's just part of the deal. And that was a fun.
Well, we were playing Petaluma, and I never had any kind of an injury, never sprained an ankle, never had any injury. But that day, in a block, I bumped my ribs on a guy's knee. So I was lying there hurting, thinking I was dying, how you would at 17. And I'm lying on the grass, and my coach, who was a new coach that year at Napa High, Hal Buffa, he comes out. At the same time comes the Petaluma coach, and they reach across me and they shake hands with each other and meet each other and talk where they graduated from for a couple of minutes, things like that. Then all of a sudden, I look to my left and I see this fellow walking across, and he's got on black pants and a black vest and a white shirt that wasn't cleanest, and he had his medical bag with him, and he puts it down and he checks me out quickly and says, "Oh, he's bumped his ribs, I'll take him to the hospital, we'll get x-rays or something." So as they get me up, we're walking towards his car to take me over to the hospital. And on the side of it, the car was an old 36 Ford pickup. And on the side it says, "Dr. Gavini, cats to cattle." So I had a veterinarian taking care of me that day.
Yeah, so being an Napa High Indian, it means the world to me. We have a very proud set of traditions at this school, not only in the football program, but just the school as a whole. And anyone who's walked on this campus, like, they'll tell you, like they're always going to be a Napa High Indian no matter what. And it's just such a prideful thing to be able to call yourself an Indian in this valley, and just it just means the world to me. And like, I just love this mascot and I love this school.
Well, first of all, let me say this. I'm very proud of my Indian heritage. My mother and my father were both Indian, as am I. Secondly, being a Napa High Indian, let me just tell you guys, you freshmen coming in, and you two sitting here that I'm talking to today, that when the blue and gold gets into your heart and gets into your soul, it is an unbelievable feeling. I'm just very proud to be able to give back to my school. Napa High has a long tradition of excellence in the classroom and on the field. And so being a Napa High Indian means everything to me. I can't express it more. And I graduated 46 years ago.
Being loyal, I'm still a loyal Indian fan. You know, for a long time when I did the 40 years of announcing, that kept me close to the team. The coaches used to let me go in at half and listen to what they were going to say at halftime, things like that. And I stopped being the announcer. I retired from that. I started in '73 and quit in 2012. 40 years.
That was pretty good, and I'd like to see all the history dating back from the 1940s.
Next up, we have the reasons why some of the teachers here at Napa High wanted to start teaching.
By Nikosha, Christine, and Jasmine.
I decided to become a teacher because I had several teachers in high school that inspired me, and I thought I really wanted to inspire kids as well. I worked with younger kids for a really long time, and I liked working with the younger kids, and after a few years of doing that, I said, I think I want to work with high school. And so I really wanted to influence high school kids to motivate them to learn new things, and that's why I chose to become a teacher, to change perspectives on things. I love interacting with the students and being able to influence them or motivate them in different ways about learning different things. It makes you feel good when you have students that show that they've learned something that you've taught, and so it's really interesting to get that feedback from them.
At first I had other plans. I didn't know that I was going to become a teacher. When I graduated from college, I thought I was going to get into forestry, but that turned differently than I thought it was. Then I thought I was going to get into theater and television work, and that turned out differently than I thought. And on a whim, I decided to head to Spain to live for a while, and I wound up staying in Spain for 2 years, studying their language and their culture. And when I got back from living in Spain, I thought, I need to share this with other people. This was such a fantastic experience. And I still didn't have a career, and so I decided, why don't I get into teaching Spanish and be able to share my marvelous experience in Spain with other people. And so that experience is actually what got me into teaching. I wanted to share my knowledge of Spanish and Spain with other people.
I don't think I'd hate anything about it, really. It is challenging sometimes when you have students that maybe aren't motivated or as motivated as other students in the class to learn or get things done. And so that sometimes throws a wrench into what you're trying to get done. So it stops you from what you're trying to do. And that can be very difficult and frustrating.
I've been teaching now 25 years, and it's been an actual joy to be able to share what little I know of Spanish and other Spanish-speaking cultures with my students. It's been a lot of fun. Some of the changes in methodologies of teaching. In 25 years of teaching, I've seen the traditional pendulum swing from one way of teaching to a different way of teaching, and it usually comes back to what it originally was. And so that's been a frustrating experience in teaching, is this constant changing of the way we need to teach things, instead of just coming to a conclusion of what works best and how kids learn. And I wish we could go back to focusing more on the developmental stages of how the brain works and how students learn, and focus on that and integrating that style of teaching into our everyday classrooms.
Those are some good reasons to become a teacher.
Next up, we have why a later start would help us teens out.
By Ronnie and Jessica.
Teens need more sleep. School should start later. It's for our own good that schools should start an hour later than it does already.
I think they should, because there was this thing where out of college they tested something and it was our brain doesn't start working until 9 or 10. So it'd be pointless for us to come to school an hour early or something.
Yes. And I teach early flight, and it's really, really hard to get up early. And I've read a lot of sleep studies that show that we should be getting a little bit more sleep. So yeah, even if they move the schedule back a little bit, I think that would be to the benefit of young people for sure, because they need more sleep. So yes, it is hard to get up.
Yeah, it is, because I want to do my makeup in the morning and it takes an extra hour, or to do my hair because I have curly hair. So it's hard to maintain. So yeah, it is hard.
I like parts of our schedule. I like the fact that we have some longer days, because I think you can get a lot more done on those days.
Well, I think sometimes it's kind of hard because you don't get enough sleep.
Sometimes. It usually depends how late I go to bed. If I go to bed on time, it's not too bad. But if I'm up late reading or grading papers or doing something else, then it can be very difficult.
Probably it would help a lot of people, but maybe it wouldn't be a good idea because class would be more short.
The beat of the drum, Jessica Perez and Ronnie Moore.
I sure wish that would come true.
Thanks for listening.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Travis. And this is The Beat of the Drum.